Greetings, Internet, and welcome to Aaron Plays, and I hope you're doing fantastically well. In this video, I'm going to do a review of, well, if you saw the thumbnail, you know what it is, but it's Space Empire. Now, this is my cover of the game I actually bought back in 2011. If you notice on the thumbnail, it's the new cover for is it the 5th printing? So that was now I do like this original artwork. I do like the original, the new artwork that's coming out on the new printing. Does it make me want to rebuy the game? No, but could I rebuy the box? So, I mean, there's one thing with this game: you do need a lot of boxes. I did drop by the original, obviously the original game. I bought some of the expansions, and I bought another 3-inch box to put all the counters in. So another box wouldn't go amiss. Anyway, Space Empires 4X. So the X is on this hand. What does their 4X stand for? Well, it's for explore. Got to get these in the right order. Expand, exploit, and exterminate. In that order. So you explore space, you expand into that space, you exploit that space, and then you encounter an enemy, you exterminate them because you want their space. So I'm doing this review to go through the game. I'm going to go through the rules and what I like and what I dislike, and then say, is it really worth your money and investment and time? Because this is a game that came out 13 years ago in 2011. This video was made in 2014. So we'll go through it, starting from, well, the rules. So how do you play this game? Well, I'm only going to go through the base game. I'm not going to add any expansions or anything like that. And there are, in the box, there is a scenario book and a rule book. And the first thing off, the rule book is only 16 pages. So it's not too big. It's not too complicated, the game. And in the scenario book, there are quite a few scenarios in there. Now, how do you play this? Well, I'm going to bring up the what the board looks like for a solo game, and then we'll take it from there. So there's the map for a solo game. The yellow is the nation that or empire that I would like to play, and it's got its home planet. So let's just zoom a little bit in on a home planet. Okay, so these here, these are unexplored space at the present moment. I've put none of the actual combat counters on the board, but those are effectively my home, the systems that are close to me. And when I explore them, there could be various things in those spaces. There could be other planets, there could be nebula, there could be asteroids, etc. This little counter here is showing my home production. I mean, that counter actually started there, but in one of the expansions, you've got these nice big shiny counters which look a lot better. But anyway, these white borders are deep space. There's risks out there. So if you move into a space, you can explore it and you flip the counter. There could be more minerals. There's minerals in your home planets, but there's also minerals out here, and they're generally worth a bit more. These planets out here are denoting and I'll zoom out a little bit now, denoting the enemies to this faction that I'm playing. And these markers here denote the edge of the playing area. So you start the game with very few units, and then you move out to explore. And as you move into each space, you can flip the actual counter. So let's just flip this. And that tells me that's worth 5 minerals. I can then send out a ship to go and collect those minerals, bring it back to my home planet, and add it to my production cycle. And we do this for 3 turns. 3. So I move my units, I explore, I then move my units and explore. I move my units and then explore. If there's anyone in those first few turns, quite a few turns, that's all I'll be doing, moving and exploring. And then I can put colonists onto any planets that I find and so on. Once I place colonists, they then develop a colony. But that's so I'll do 3 turns of the movement, explore, and if there is any combat, there'll be combat involved there as well. And then there is an economic phase. And in the economic phase, you purchase new units and new technology. And this is done on, I wonder if I can bring it up. I can. There we go. This. You have an economic phase and you go through, so you carry over from last turn, whatever it was. Obviously, in the first turn, there'll be no carryover. And any colony CPs is construction points. Mineral construction points, that mineral that we turned over will be added into there and then it's gone. MS pipeline, that's an advanced rule, which we won't explain too much in detail. And that gives you how much total construction points you've got. Then you've got to maintain what you've got, fleets or ships you've got already. Then you've got a turn order bid, which in a solo game you won't have to worry about, but if you were playing against another player, you would. The game can take up to 4 players, and that then gives you a subtotal. Then you can invest into new technology. Then you can also have a ship spend, and then how many construction points you've got left, and then what you have left will carry over to next turn. And then you've got various technologies you can purchase. Ship size. You start off with relatively small ships like scouts, but you can then improve those into destroyers or buy an upgrade. If you go ship size, let's have ship size 2, you can build destroyers. If you go ship size 3, you can build cruisers. If you go ship size 4, battle cruisers, 5 battleships, and so on. Attack. This is attack technology which modifies your combat dice, which we'll come to. Defense technology, tactical technology, move technology, fighters and point defense. Again, fighters and point defense are advanced rules. We won't go into that. You can also then develop these are a lot of these. Yeah, these are all advanced ones by the looks of it. Shipyards is a basic one, but there is ground troops. You've got terraforming, but again, a lot of these are advanced, so we won't worry about them. Military tech as well, and some of these are even from the expansion, so you don't have to worry. But these are all techs you can buy, and the value after the number. So that's saying on this one it says ship 2. Okay, that would then cost 10 construction points. Ship 3 costs 15, but you can only go up 1 grade of technology per economic phase for each of these. So I could buy, if I had enough points, ship size 1 and attack 1, but I couldn't buy ship size 2 and 3 in the same economic phase. And you then have another 3 turns of moving, and then you go through another economic cycle. And effectively with that, you rinse and repeat. Now, also, I wonder if I can show, what's it? Ship buy menu. No, that's not what I want. Getting my head around the vessel module, battle board. There's a, doesn't matter. Okay, I'll have to put it up there. There is a menu which shows you what ships you can build, how much they cost, and so on. Or is that under the production? And I just missed it. No, it's not. It's not there. Found it. Okay. Yeah, amazing what a pause can do. So you've got this here, which is now it says Space Epic Replicators card. This is probably the latest one. I will probably use one from the base game, but it looks familiar. And yes, it looks like, whoa, there's a lot of information there. Don't worry about it. It's quite straightforward. So as I said, you start with scout ships. Name, scout. Type on there. How many it costs to buy a new one? Okay, construction points. Gives you its details there, E3, and we'll come into that in a minute. Its defense, its hull size, and then any special abilities and all notes. Most of that you don't have to worry about in the basic game. So let's bring up one of those counters. And what does it actually look like? Counters, we'll do it with, as I'm playing yellow, might as well do it with yellow. And we're looking for a scout ship, that's SC. Right, there we go. Let's bring that onto the board. Oh, well, that's great. It's not detailed, but let's zoom in a bit. Boop, boop, boop. All right. Okay, let's flip it. There we go. All right. So that's telling me that Scout 1. I could probably change that, check its name. Yes, I can. And it tells me it's got it's got E is its attack. So it attacks in E. I'll come to what that means in a minute. It's got attack value of 3, defense value of 0, and its hull size 1. And there's one of them. You can have up to 6 of these. So if I increase there, I can put another one. I've got to remember how to do that. But anyway, you can make up to 6 under each of these counters. And if you're playing someone face to face, or we're using Vassal, they won't know that. If you notice, I actually had to flip the counter. What they'll see on their map is that it's blank. And if you're playing again using the real game, that will be all they will see is a blank counter. It's just showing you or me that what it actually is. And as it moves across the board and it can explore and such forth. Then once it goes into there, I can flip that as well. However, my speed currently, and to bring the rules back, my movement rate, I have tech level 1. Remember my tech level was 1? That means in each of these phases, that those turns, I can move 1 hex per turn. But once I start increasing my technology, I move faster. So in the first turn, if I have tech level 2, I can move 1 hex, 2 hexes. But in the third turn, I could move 2 hexes. And as you increase tech, and the thing is, you don't have to reveal your tech level until you use it. So your opponent doesn't know or your opponents, because this game can take up to 4, doesn't know what tech level you are actually at. So you could actually spring surprises on them. But as in the third phase, you would then go to there and reveal what that is. And flip that. Okay, so that's a planet. I would then put that on there. I could then start sending a colonial ship to it. Can I see a colonial ship? Oh, it's combat ships. Let's change that to a non-combat ship. There we go, a colony ship. So I start with a few of these and I can start sending them out. And once it arrives there, it can then start to develop a colony on that. The amount of construction points you get, I mean, in home planets is 30. You start off with 1 on these planets, and then they increase to 3, and then they go up to a maximum of 5. And in your home system, I think there's 9 planets, so it's 5 9 45. Boom, boom, boom. Your economy can start growing quite quickly, and then when you start taking planets from the deep space and developing them as well, your economy can continue to grow. So that's effectively the engine. Then how does combat work? Well, let's bring that little scout ship back, clear all the movement for the moment, and then just flip him over. Okay, and let's introduce a nasty, dastardly blue combat ship. Okay, and we'll give them a destroyer just to show the slight differences on that. Right, there we go. And then I'm going to have to flip him over as well. Now, can I flip him over? No, I can. All right, so when forces in the same hex encounter each other, they have combat. And the combat is determined by D10 rolls, and you bring up what's called a battle board. So let's see if I can bring that up. Come on, you want to. All right, so let's just bring, there's a problem. Let's put my scout ship on there and that on there. It shows us a battle in the hex. And okay, so it's also put these, is it put in the right place? No, I just dragged them. Okay. Don't worry about this legendary elite vet. That's all things that happens in one of the expansions. All the ships are just standard ships. So, but the important part is this A, B, C, D, E. And that's the order of fire. So A fires before B, B before C, C before D, etc. So this guy will actually get to fire so the blue destroyer will get to fire before the yellow scout ship. It will roll a D10 and it needs a 4 or less to hit. If it does so, it'll cause 1 damage on this, and he can only take 1 damage because he's got a whole point of 1. If he fails to hit, then the scout ship will fight back and roll a 3 or less required to hit. If he does so, he will. It's only got 1 hull point, so he'll be taken out. So let's look at something that's a little bit stronger, like a cruiser. Can I bring one here? I can. You can see he's got that ×2. He'll be firing in the 0, and he can take 2 damage. So if the yellow does cause a hit, he will only. Can I show a hit on here? Here we go. He's got 1 hit. He needs 2 hits to be taken out. Also, notice he's got 4-1. He attacks with 4. He also defends with 1. So that changes my 3 to attack down to a 2. And various other ships. Let's bring a really big bugger. Okay. A dreadnought. He's attacking on A, so he will attack before anything. He's 6 or less to hit and 3 or less to subtract 3 from the attack. So my guy will miss. No, you always hit. Now, on a 1, can't remember if it's 1 is high or low. Okay, a 0 represents a 10, and a 1 is always a miss. So 1 is always a hit in this system. So even this little lowly scout could, no matter what his modifiers are here, could still score a hit. Now, if you remember me mentioning you get things like attack technology and defense technology, each of these ships, if this had attack technology, his attack would actually be increased by 1. So it'd be a 4. If he had defense technology, his defense would be increased by 1. So defense would be 1. So your technologies will modify these base values. And what could happen is you build ships, they go out into space and they've got what's on the counter. Then you develop advanced technology, which is, let's say attack. Any new ship that you build from then on has that technology, but the ships that you got out in space don't. So you'll have different ships with different technologies. And that's again recorded on the, can I bring it up? No, I'll close it down, haven't I? Bringing this back up. On here is a quick rundown of all the units and counters I've got, and I can buy and pay for. So I can build, it's basically just a research chart and keeps it all simple, straightforward. On here is the different types. When it comes to what I've got on each ship, in the actual physical game, you have a chart which you circle with a pencil or whatever, what current each of these counters. So Scout 1 might have attack technology 1, where Scout 2 might have attack technology 2 or something like that. And you'll show that on the chart. In the Vassal version here, you can show it by the group stats. So on here, highest attack technology you can have. So I would then click that, and then it shows attack 1. It doesn't show on the counter. If I bought defense technology on there, okay, and then I can close it down. It doesn't show on here, but as soon as I bring it up, oh, there, it actually shows it on here. Oh, that's useful. Click the counter, yeah. So your opponent doesn't see it straight away, but you know what it is. So it's got attack technology 1, defense technology 2, and what else can we give it? Oh, we can give it some tactics. There we go. Tactics 1, and we can give it, say, move 3. We're going to put move 3 on it. Boom. Again, we close that down. We go back on the counter. It's all there. That is recorded on it. If you're playing face to face, not using Vassal, that is recorded on this actual sheet, which you will have sitting next to you. And then you keep going through this until you get battles. You knock out other opponents' fleets. You can then get into their system. You can even start destroying their planets. You can do planetary bombardment. The aim of the game against a 2-player game is to destroy their home planet. Okay, so you can take over the colonies, but once you destroy the home planet, the game's over. But you can tell normally you'll get to a point where the other player hasn't got a hope, and that's when normally a concession occurs. Because fighting to the last actual dialogue is dramatic for the person who's doing it. It's not very pleasant for the person who's receiving it. You start another game. When you're playing against the solo bots, well, let me just zoom out again. As the player, you have to destroy all three of those core planets, and they'll be sending fleets out and construction, and there's special things for how the alien does that, which I'm not going to go through at this point. I'm going to explain that when I actually do play the game. So I think I've sort of covered most of the basic rules. There's different ways of modifying combat. There's different ways of you got specific like firing order, which have gone through how to explore in more detail, what some of those counters mean and so forth. But that is pretty much the base game explained. What do we like about Space Empires? Well, it's straightforward. Can be played after only reading 11 pages of the rules. So in this 16-page rule book, the first 11 pages are your basic game. In fact, it's 11 pages, and this is the 11th page, and the advanced rules start here. So it's 10 pages and a bit. And the first page is just explaining what the counters are and such. So it's not a deep rule book. You could pick this up, read that in an hour, and play the game. However, well, there's no however, really. Then, so it's 11 pages of rules. The advanced rules, so this is point 2, what I like. The advanced rules are modular. So you can say, right, let's play the basic game and just add merchant ship pipelines. Let's not worry about carriers, fighters, and point defense, or fighters, or cloaks and scanners. Let's just play with pipelines. Or let's play with carriers, carrying fighters. So that's another block of rules. Fighters themselves is this set of rules here. So you can just play with that part. So the core rules, 11 pages, and then you can add bits and bobs. And the advanced rules themselves are another, well, they go up to page, 13. So it's only 2.5 pages of advanced rules. You then have optional rules, which is another 2 pages. And that's it. You're then done, because then the last page isn't actually rules, as you can see. It's a sequence of play, the explanations of what you can do in combat and such for black hole survival roles. So it's actually only 15 pages of rules for the complete thing. So the pages of rules, point 1, really like, and then the advanced rules are modular, and then, again, there's not too many of them, point 2. Point 3, what we really like of Space Empires, is how many scenarios come in the scenario book. There are a shed load. Okay, you've got 2-player scenarios, and there are there's a small 2-player map. Quick look on this. You've got wrong side again. 2-player scenarios, small one. Then you've got the normal 2-player scenario, and notice it shows you what area of the board that you'll actually be using. Then you've got a large 2-player scenario over here, showing again a lot of the board. Then you've got 3D player 2-map scenarios on this side of the board here. Again, it's showing you different ways of setting up the guide, which change. You then got massive 2-player scenario. You then have 3-player scenarios and 4-player scenarios. There's even an epic scenario for 2 to 8 players. But that's where you need 2 copies of the game. No, I've never done that. You then got 1-player scenarios, Doomsday Machine. So you have a machines encroaching on your little empire. And again, you can play it with a small map or a large map, and varying strengths of these Doomsday machines. Then you've got, that's what I set the map up, the 1-player alien empire scenarios. And this is where this does add another 1, 2, 3, 3.5 pages of rules to actually get that to work. But they have each of those alien empires have their own economic sheet. So you can do your little economics, they have their own economics, and it's different from what you do. And that's it from scenario wise. So it's there's a comprehensive example of play in the back of this book as well. So a lot of varied scenarios to play 2, 3, 4 player, and so on. So as I've mentioned there, point four of what I like about Space Empires, it's multiplayer and 2-player and solo. I have played it 4-player. Wow, that was a blast. And the victory conditions change depending on what scenario you're playing as well. There is a basic victory condition, which I explained in the rules breakthrough, which is the extermination of an enemy planet. When you're playing 4-player, then it's obviously got a bit of negotiation. You can take over control of various planets, and there's victory point awards on the map. So yeah, the 2-player scenarios, I've played quite a few of those. Thoroughly enjoyed them. And then the solo, well, I have played Solo Empires once before. I played it at the easy level. It was easy. I'm intending to do this one at the hard level because I like the way they describe it. You have easy, normal, hard, harder, really tough, and good luck. So I'm going to be playing this when I do it on the channel, I'm going to be doing it at the harder level. If I get crushed, I get crushed. Let's see what happens. And the fifth reason I like Space Empires is that economic sheet. Okay. It's nice to actually work out, I can spend the technology there, and I can work out where I'm going to go there and what I'm building there and what I'm going to do with that. It's nice to do that. Okay. So that's 5 reasons what I like about Space Empires. What don't we like about Space Empires? Okay. The spreadsheet. I've already gone through. Yes, I liked it, but I also dislike it. And the main reason I dislike it is as soon as you show that to a new person to introduce them to the game, you can see them go, oh, okay, isn't there an easy way to do that? Isn't there another way to, oh man, a spreadsheet? Really? Yeah, it is difficult to get others on board with it. It's just the way it is. You can say it's as easy how easy it is once they get going, but it's still that initial get them over the edge, which makes it difficult to get other players to play the game, especially non-war gamers, because this is a great game for non-war gamers because the rules are so straightforward. So I wouldn't say they're simplistic because the implications of how things work, but the actual rules themselves, written-wise, are simple. Second thing I don't like about Space Empires is that each fleet's are the same. So everyone's scouts are the same until you start building in technologies. And every empire is the same. There's no empirical differences between them until you get into the expansion. Once you get close encounters, just quicker, there are cards that modify how each of these empires work. So you draw a card for each empire, etc. But in the base game, that it's if you think like, all right, the Federation and the Klingons bringing star, they have different conceptual outputs. Even though both have scout ships, they both have destroyers, and they might have the same stats, there's still different ways that those fleets would integrate, work, and so on. That's not really represented. And the third thing I don't like about Space Empires is the rule book, though simple, and it's 16 pages, great. I think it could do with some more examples. And it's a really tiny nitpick because the rules are so well written that most people wouldn't really need detailed examples, but sometimes an example would help. There are very, very few in there, and there's not enough time. Of course, that would then make the rule book bigger. But if it's the same amount of rules, it shouldn't make any difference. So 3 things I didn't like, and none of them are major. Can I recommend this game? I think you might have judged by the 5 likes and 3 nitpicky dislikes. That absolutely. It came out in 2011. I actually think about the same time. I got Eclipse. I can't remember if it was the same year or whatever. Eclipse scratched one itch. This definitely scratched the other, the wargaming itch. And this is the game I definitely much prefer. It's once people get their heads around that spreadsheet thing, it's a doddle to play rules wise. It's an absolute beast to work out how to expand your empire. Because for the first 3 or 4 economic phases, you're not even really playing with against the other person. You're just exploring, expanding your own thing, making your own little engine work. It's only once you start both players going into that deep space area that contact will be made, and you'll be fighting little battles with scout ships and then destroyers, and then you'll start, my goodness, he's got a cruiser, and then battle cruisers, and then you're starting to get close and encroaching on someone's planet, and you've got a technology so that they haven't got an answer for, then they have to develop that technology. Those kind of things make the game fascinating every time you play it, and every time it's different, even without what I mentioned there, the empires being different, because you've built your ships with a different technology. I might have a technology one, but because you bought tactics as the opponent, that tactics allows you to fire first. So A's versus A's fire. If you've got tactics better, you fire first. Otherwise, it's normally done by the defender firing first if they've got the same ships. So you can modify and change that. You can have searching technology, exploration technology, which allows you to actually look at one of those hexes with the little blank counters and flip it over without even going to this. You're not taking a risk of going in, having a disaster in space, because some of those counters can be particularly nasty. There are black holes you've got to or just danger symbols in your ships going there. So you don't send like a whole fleet into a space that you haven't explored, because you might lose it. It's fascinating. Jim Crone, the designer, okay, I've played a couple of his games, the other one being Band of Brothers, and I think, was it Talon? He has a knack of streaming down the rules, keeping it tight, but also having so many different ways of applying things that it's fascinating every time. His rule writing is tight, it's concise, and it's how I think rules should be written. You know, that you don't have to battle with them. You don't have to sit there like, this refers to that, and you've got exceptions with this and exceptions with that, and so on. It is a fantastic system that if you haven't got it, get it. It's on GMT. They're doing now a 5th printing with that nice fancy new box. And it's, get it. All I can say, if you like space, if you like your sci-fi encounters and battles, it's got everything you can possibly think of. And I say there's 3 expansions. And the first one, which was Close Encounters, which introduced ground forces, boarding actions, rules for legendary ships and different classes of ships you saw on that combat thing. You had veteran, elite, green, and such forth. Then there was Replicators, which introduced a completely alien robot AI technology to fight against. And then the one that's coming out now, which is still on the P500 for GMT, which I think is what's it called? All Good Things. I mean, I assume that's going to be the last expansion, judging by the name. So yeah, I've dabbled a little bit into Close. I've never even played Replicate. I'm sitting on my shelf of shame. As you know, I've got a shelf of shame. It's sitting there waiting for whenever I get to it. But the Close Encounters, again, it's all modular. You add a little bit here, a little bit there, and you add what you want to sugar to taste. So yeah, it's a great system. Get it. And that brings me to the end. So yeah, as I always say at these things, if you like what I did, do the like button. Subscribe if you like what to the channel. It all helps. And any comments would be much appreciated. But until next time, play games, have fun, and if you can get this, get it. Bye, Internet.